Let's start part 2 of this class. This week, we're going to talk about goal-based assumption. This is all about financial justification of your assumptions. Your goal is to meet the minimum requirement financially, which is zero profit. If you assume zero profits, what is the right number to use for the assumptions? This is the main question for this week. As a minimum requirement of your business or business plan, you have to achieve a minimum profit. Okay, let's say this minimum profit is zero. You have to achieve the zero profits. After that, you have positive profits. Even if you cannot achieve the minimum or zero profit in the first year or in the beginning, that'll be okay in general. But you have to achieve zero and sometimes in the future. Okay, let's forget about this time series. Just focus on 1 year or 1 month. How are you going to meet this zero profit? That is the question for this week. I want you to fix your assumptions of the one parameters. Let's say this is a cost parameters or revenue parameters. And what's the other parameters? Okay, let's assume you fixed cost assumption. And then what is the revenue assumption if you want to achieve the zero profits? So fix the one part and assuming zero profit and make assumption for the other ones to meet zero profits. That is called goal-based assumption. This is an example. Let's start from the red box from the left-hand side. I want you to identify all the necessary cost assumptions. In this case, you can make assumptions for fixed costs. Fixed cost means this is a fixed, but it doesn't change based on your some parameters like sales numbers. If the more you sales, the more you have to pay the cost. That's fixed. That is not fixed cost. That is a variable cost. It doesn't matter how many units you sold, but you have to pay, for example, rent. You have to pay fixed amounts. That is called fixed cost. So let's separate fixed one and variable ones. So let's assume you made some numbers for those two costs. And then next, to calculate the break even. Break even means zero profit. Break even revenue amount. Once you fix some numbers for the cost side and then assume zero profit, what is minimum revenue or minimum sales you have to realize? That is a question you have to answer. And I encourage you to use a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, to calculate the numbers. So input the cost numbers first and assume zero profit, and you can easily calculate the minimum sales number, which is revenue. Once you know the minimum revenue, then you can make your assumption what is the number of sales and what is the right price of the product. Because the revenue is a multiplication of the unit price and number of sales. So once you know the revenue you have to achieve at minimum, then you can get minimum price and the minimum number of sales. Okay, this is how it works. But this is just a concept, so I want you to precisely calculate with the spreadsheet. Let's do an exercise for today. This is a very simple question, simple exercise. After my explanation, before going to the next slide, I want you to stop the video and work on this exercise with your Excel sheet. The question is, what is a price to set to achieve break-even, again this is zero profit, at the end of the year? Here's some assumptions. You have to pay 3.5 million yen every month. This is your fixed cost. And your variable cost is 2,000 yen per unit. And this is a sales number assumptions. You have the monthly plan starting from 340 in January, ended with 480 in December. And you can see the my spreadsheet example for your reference. But again, you can make your own spreadsheet and calculation formula. As you can see on the top, you can see the fixed cost amount every month and variable cost, which is calculated by multiplying the number of sales times and variable costs, which is the price. And then you can calculate minimum revenue to meet zero profits, and then you can calculate unit price because you know how many products you sold each month. So the goal is just minimum price. You have to assume what is the minimum price you have to use for your assumption, even if you assume zero profits. Let's stop the video now, and I want you to calculate. There is a right single answer to this question. Now let's take a look at an answer example. Here is my spreadsheet, starting with cost items in the upper part. Fixed cost, which is 3.5 million, followed by variable cost. This is the multiplication of number of sales, line A, times 2,000, which is unit cost. So this is variable cost, and you can have the total cost as a summation of these fixed cost plus variable cost. And as you can see on the right hand side, 52 million, almost 52 million yen. This is your total cost, the amount you have to pay. And now let's look at the revenue side in the lower part. So you have to achieve the amount of 52 million in order to get the zero profit. So the total cost is the same as the total revenue, which means you have zero profit or break even. This is a minimum requirement. So if you assume you have to sell, or you have to get 52 million of the revenue amount in this business or within this year, then what is your unit price? That is a question. In order to achieve 52 million revenue, and then you already have the total sales, not sales amount. This is a total number of sales in the line E, 5260. This is a total number of your sales, not sales or revenue amount. This is a number of sales of your product or the service, whichever. So your total revenue, targeted total revenue is 52 million yen, and then your plan of the sales volume, sales number is 5260. So you divide your total revenue with the total sales number 5260, which comes to the unit price, which is 9985 in this case. So if you price lower than that number, which is 9985, you get negative profit in this year. So you have to price at least 9985 as a minimum price to get zero profits. So practically, you have to price higher than 9985, like 10,000 or something or more, in order to get a positive profits. But the question was, what is a minimum price to get zero profits? And this is the answer. So you can do the same for other exercises. Here's the assignment by next Wednesday for you. This is an application of this goal-based assumption making. This is a business of your private taxi service between YNU and Yokohama Station. So you want to think about the startup business of the private taxi transportation service. And the question is, what is minimum transportation service fee you have to charge to your customer from YNU to the Yokohama Station to meet the break even? So if you don't care about the profit or their profits, what is a minimum charge or minimum fee you charge to your customer? This is only about a one way from YNU to the Yokohama Station. And here's some items you have to think about. What is your driver's monthly salary? This is fixed. And the monthly vehicle depreciation, yes, you invested your automobile for the service, so you have to depreciate the asset amount. And here's the number, 1.5 million yen per month. So you depreciate this car for 5 years and divided by 12 months. That means that is the 1.5 million divided 5 divided 12. The calculation result is the monthly vehicle depreciation amount. And you have to pay for gas, so please take some market price for your calculation, and other operation handling fees. You can assume any numbers, but they have to be reasonable. And what are other operation handling fees? You can think about the details of these items. Okay, again, I suggest you use the Excel spreadsheet for the calculation. Don't make complicated calculation. A simple calculation will be enough. And what is your right price to charge to your customer for one-way transportation from YNU to Yokohama Station? Okay. I want you to have your answer next week. We will discuss your output in the class online next week. And good luck.